Alright, so starting to finally figure things out. Figured I'd give this a shot. Today I'm actually going to be building a cube. Uh, so, with Commander Sealed coming up, one of the events they're going to be doing is what's called it's a local event. They call it the Rochester Omniscience Draft. And in case you've never done it before, they actually did it on Arena a while back. I don't know if they've done it since. I haven't played in a while. But an Omniscience Draft is every player has an emblem for omniscience, and they also have an emblem with you can add Wooburg once per turn. It's a little more nuanced than that, but that's basically just of it. Is you have omniscience, and you can add Wooburg once per turn. And I figured that rather than just do a draft like that, why not build a cube around that, right? So let's go ahead and call this an omniscience cube. And I'll walk through, why some of my choices, and so yeah, no format. This is going to go in my cubes folder. Yeah, I'll make it public. We'll go ahead and get started on this, right? So one of the things is we're not going to need a whole lot of lands. We're still going to want to include some lands because there are utility lands that are going to have some effects we're going to want. Like, for example, Maze of Ith is a decent one to include, right? Bam! Because combat is still going to be relevant, even though we're like nobody's business. Good coffee. Now, the thing to be careful is you don't want to add a ton of card draw. Because unlike in other cube formats, you're not limited by mana. So in other formats, you can throw in as much card draw as you want, because players are still restricted by the amount of mana they have. So they can they can draw as many cards as they want. They just might not be able to use them all. So we've got to be careful with that. Another thing too is you don't want a ton of spells with X, because again, it's going to be highly limiting. So you want them to be impactful and meaningful. So, for example, something like what the hell is it? It's an artifact creature. And I know you can pay Wooburg for it to put it back in your hand. I know it deals damage equal to the number of counters on it. Well, obviously I've had the wrong criteria. Oh. Okay. Oh my god. Sometimes I hate the way this website works. Like, oh, you're trying to do a thing? Nah, it's not gonna work the way you want it to. Deals, okay, damage equal to. Let's try that. Oh my. Exactly right. Then, damage to. Who maybe? That'll give me. Nope. Okay. Okay. There we go. Finally finding. So, bra. There we go. Chamber Sentry, like, right? So, like, Chamber Sentry. So you can still cast it, and so it gives you a use for the full Wooburg, right? Because it cares about the color spent to cast it. It gives you a reason to not over or underspend on it. So it's not like a spell that costs 6, right? Because now you got to find that extra one mana to get the most value out of it, or something that costs 4. Because now, well, what are you gonna do with extras if you feel like you're wasting? It gives you a use for all that mana, a specific use for it. So it incentivizes you to use that Wooburg, right? Uh, Gear Hulk, not so much, because everyone's gonna be slamming high value cards into their decks anyway. So this is it. It incentivizes the draw 3 cards, and card draw, like raw card draw, is not what we're trying to emphasize here. We want players to get their cards via other means, such as impulsive card draws, one of them, or tutor effects. So what else can we add in here? Well, so what I mean by impulsive effects, so like Jace Vryn's Prodigy, for example, right? Draw and discard. You're going with card quality over card quantity, but then once you flip him, now you can reuse those cards again. And this isn't like a typical Omniscience where it says you may cast spells from your hand. This is just you may cast spells without paying their mana cost. So it gives you the alternate cost. And that also allows us to do some interesting things, and that we can use other alternate costs or additional costs even. So for example, Kicker, right? We can provide spells, we can put spells with Kicker in the cube, and that also gives us another reason, or another way to use that mana that Wooburg ability can give us. So this is exciting. I did put some thought into this last night while I was staring at the ceiling, so I do have some stuff already set aside for this. So let's go ahead and do some thinking, right? So for example, Archangel Elspeth is just a ridiculously powerful card, right? Now, not everything needs to cost a bajillion mana. Yes, we're cheating on mana cost, but that's only part of the appeal, right? The main appeal of an Omniscience Draft is you get to do dumb things. And one of those dumb things is what Elspeth does, right? Like, that -2 is just ridiculous. Like, first time I saw it, I didn't even care about the +1. Like, yeah, the +1 feeds into the -2. Which normally it's the other way around, right? Where the minus feeds off of the plus, instead of the plus feeding off the minus. Like, it's a hell of a card. Jace the Mind Sculptor is another great one. Jace Mind Sculpt. Bam. Because, so the Brainstorm ability doesn't get you too high up on cards, but it does give you great card selection. And it comes down, and so it takes a while to get where it's going, and there's also plenty of other cards in the cube that can answer it. I do like Professor Onyx. The Magecraft ability isn't super relevant. Like, it can come up and it can do stuff. Losing the life, right? So we want there to be consequences for drawing, because the mana is not the consequence, right? So we ignore anything to do with mana unless it's an alternate or additional cost, and we look instead at like life or sacrificing permanence. And that -3 is really what this is about, right? So the +1 is really good. And that -3 can really be a good answer to some stuff going on. Oh man, I had a bunch more Planeswalkers I thought I did. Yeah, Saheeli. So either way, scrying is actually really is more powerful than you think it would be in this format. Because it isn't about, oh, I need to hit my land drops, or I need to find, my combo pieces. It's a constant back and forth of finding threats and answers. So that's the big one. Vraska Relic Seeker is... Oh, there's actually a card called Relic Seeker? Lame. Vraska Relic Seeker is a great example of this. There she is. She's a threat and an answer all in one. Love that card. Ugin the Spirit Dragon is same thing. It's a threat and an answer all in one card. And Ugin the Ineffable is another way to get card advantage, but also have to jump through some hoops. And that's the key thing you want to keep in mind if you ever decide to build your own Omniscience Cube. Is you don't want your card advantage to be no strings attached. For example, something like Glimmer of Genius, right? This is what I would call no strings attached, because we ignore this. You can completely ignore this. This is just scry 2, draw 2 for free. So that is completely not what we want to have in here, because the player who draws more cards is going to win. Especially if it's just free like that. So you want players to jump through hoops to get their extra cards. And feel free to have some fun with this. Like in mine, I have Urza Academy Headmaster. Like, I think it's just a fun as hell card. So that's just me. And then because we're on the subject of doing big, dumb, stupid stuff, Nicol Bolas Planeswalker and Nicol Bolas God Pharaoh. Man, might want to. There we go. Are really powerful cards that people. You look at it, you're like, man, this card is. It's cool, but I'll never be able to cast it. You can. I've seen them in Legacy decks. What are they called? Nyx decks. They'll throw out Arena Rectors, sack them to. Usually it's Cabal Therapy, flashback Cabal Therapy, sack the Arena Rector, exile it to its own trigger, and go get like Nicol Bolas and be like, oh look, it's turn 3 and I have a 7-mana Planeswalker. What are you going to do about it? Most decks are like, nothing! As a... Yeah, so Jared, I'm trying that out to see just what that can maybe do. So, it does provide a threat in the 3/3. Makes it big, and then again, jumping through hoops to draw cards. And for me, the more important part is creating the treasures. Right? You also want to incentivize players to look outside the box for ways to generate mana without going too far out of their way to do it. Because there are ways to use that mana for things like Kicker and Overload, right? So speaking of Kicker and Overload, Sea Rift. A perfectly reasonable card when cast for free, right? So we ignore that, right? It's a better unsubstantiate, and the overload cost is just out of reach for the natural course of the game. So you can't just be like, oh, add Wooburg, overload Sea Rift. You have to do some extra work. So it's not just a free wrath. So that works very well within the confines of the queue, right? So it's not just, oh, Slam Sea Rift doesn't auto-include. You have to think, okay, do I want to jump through the hoops to actually make it worth it, or do I want just a free spot removal? Now, the Defiler cycle, while it seems cool because they're all cost reducers, you gotta remember, we don't care about costs. So, like, Defiler of, what's the blue one? Defiler of Dreams is not good because that one draws cards. Again, we don't care about the cost reduction, but you don't want essentially free card draw because it doesn't care if you paid the 2 life to get the other trigger. It just cares, did you cast a blue permanent? Cool, here's a free card because cast a blue permanent, draw a card. That card will likely be a blue permanent, which you cast to draw another card, which is likely a blue permanent, which draws you another blue permanent, and you see how that gets out of control. So that is not what we want here. However, something like Defiler of Vigor is great because it incentivizes you to play a lot of creatures, and it rewards you the ways that we want it to, which is build a board, not play your deck, if that makes sense. Yummy. Another thing, too, is because everything is free, we can look more and evaluate abilities themselves in a vacuum. So something like Dust Elemental. Now, in a vacuum, that looks absolutely freaking garbage, right? 4 mana for a 6/6 seems great. However, bouncing 3 creatures you control, that seems like such a drawback. Because unless they're tiny creatures, why would you want to do that? Well, when you don't give a crap about mana cost, that is 3 more ETBs you get to have. And that is also why I am not going to include anything like Panharmonicon or Mother of Machines in this, because that's just overwhelming advantage, right? You want things to be somewhat fair, and you want things to feel fair. So Dust Elemental as a one-of seems okay, because now you're having to put multiple pieces together. So Dust Elemental by itself, I think, is okay. Let me go scroll back up because my list goes Planeswalkers first. What other Planeswalkers did I include? Yes, a few Gideon. The Trials is good because he doesn't come down with a crap ton of loyalty, but he does require an answer fairly quickly, or else like he does require an answer. That much is certain. I did not add deification yet. My cube is not complete, and I'm still on the fence about that because that's it. It seems a very high bar to clear for the opponent, right? Like, what value does that add to the cube in terms of enjoyment? However, getting the Oathsworn, again, not looking at that mana cost, but whenever you swing, put a 1/1 counter on all your dudes. Fuck yeah! And making him a plane like all Gideon's attack, but then -9 of Wrath. Like you have to work for it, but also like it's a Wrath. Like yes, we want Wrath. Stupid. We need a way to reset things so things stay somewhat in control. I put in Geometric Tactician. Where is he at? How do I need to sort this a different way. So, group by color, visual stacks, group by type, mana value. There, that makes more sense. Okay. So, Teo, that +1 is fine because it's symmetrical. When both players are getting the same advantage, it's not really an advantage. Especially when everyone is drawing spells. Now, if you could combine Teo with, like, Jace to try to Fate Seal your opponent into only drawing lands, now that's a bit of a problem as far as the cube is concerned, at least as far as I'm concerned, because this is supposed to be everyone gets to kind of live the dream a bit and do stupid stuff. But this kind of keeps things somewhat balanced to try to do something gross. Who else did I include? Yes. Again, coming back to the whole jumping through hoops to get cards, Jace Beleren. All right, you either get a three-turn Ancestral Recall, and that's it, that your opponent has a chance to interact with, or you're giving your opponent, like, again, there should be a drawback, some kind of hoop to jump through to draw cards, right? Raw card draw is not the thing that you want to have in a cube where where cost isn't really a concept. So that's just something to keep in mind if you ever want to build one of your own. Okay, I can't just do Lily Veil because that gives me Lily on a vest for some reason every freaking time. Lily the Veil is great because it's the exact opposite, right? Instead of giving cards, she's stripping them away. So it makes every card count more. And the Edict can be highly relevant depending on how your opponent builds their deck. And I doubt she'll ever get to the -6. If you ever get to -6 Liliana in this format, let me know because I want to hear that story. Dreadhorde General is another great example of jumping through hoops to get card advantage. Because 2/2s are actually quite unimpressive when compared to things like 6/6s for free, right? You're getting a single 2/2 every turn doesn't matter when you're staring down a 6/6 with trample for free. But it can stonewall that 6/6 because they don't want to give you the card. So I try to put as much interplay in this as I can, but I'm not a genius. So I just do what I can. Maybe one of these days I'll actually have my camera up so you can look at all the weird faces I make. I put a few Chandra in. Just because red wants to be able to repeat their spells. Yeah, so the +1 is probably not what she's going to be used for. That -2, though, again, especially if you're red and or black, you want to burn through all your spells. Then you -2 Chandra, strip your opponent of their whole hand, and now you're both down to 3 cards. again, it's still somewhat balanced. Like, you're not just drawing cards for free. So again, like, have card draw. Like, you still want people to do things and not just be in a top deck war for most of the game. Just have strings attached to it in some way. Oh yeah, forgot there's like 6 cards with Acolyte and Flame. Oh, why did I have her? That is an excellent question. I think for the put a loyalty counter on all the red. Yeah, I could probably just take her out though. Yeah, I can't think of a good reason to keep Acolyte of Flame in. I may have been thinking of another Chandra. However, Awakened Inferno, I think we all can agree, is a pretty good include. Like, the -3 is probably not going to be relevant most of the time. That +2 requires an answer, like, quickly, or else it'll close out games fairly quickly. Another thing, too, is I'm not including a lot of life gain, because you don't want, like, yeah, all these creatures are huge, but if there's a lot of life gain, it makes the creatures irrelevant very quickly. And that is, not, again, not where we want to be. We want things to matter. There's a lot of card draw, then your opponent's spells don't matter. If there's a lot of life gain, these numbers don't matter, right? Power and toughness don't matter. So it's all a balancing act. Unfortunately, it's not a tightrope balancing act. It's more balancing on your bike while riding down the road. Like, it's not super difficult to do, and it's pretty easy to tweak. Like, so again, it's like riding your bike down the road. If something feels off, you can always just stop and adjust, right? So I just literally just started off with cards that I thought looked cool or have always thought would be, oh, this would be great to play if it didn't have this absurd mana cost. And then I kind of just went from there. Kill would never see playouts in, well, like, so it's good, but it's not the kind of card you would think of in an Omniscience cube because it's only 3 mana, right? Why would you put a cheap and efficient card like that in an Omniscience cube, right? There's got to be something better if you can ignore mana cost. Except it's that impulsive draw that we want. And if left unchecked, now it's an existential crisis, right? Fire Artisan is a great one. Demands a threat early because if it gets enough loyalty, killing her might kill you. Oh, I love Jaya Ballard. This was one of the first planeswalkers I tried to build around in Standard. I got it to work one time. I played this at a PTQ, and I got it to work in one match. Kept plussing. So the gist of the deck was it was Chandra, Torch of Defiance, Jaya Ballard, and a bunch of removal. I think I had a couple creatures, but it was mainly a bunch of removal spells. And I would use Jaya and Chandra to filter through my draws to keep removing my opponent's creatures and fill my graveyard with a bunch of high impact spells. And then I would, once I got one or both to emblem, from there it's pretty easy to just end the game. So I got to live that dream once, and it was, oh my god, it was cathartic. Like, it was amazing. I had a blast. Trans Narset is pretty good. Again, it's that jump through hoops, right? Gotta have those non-creature cards. Non-land is going to be almost a given. There's only going to be a handful of lands that I so far. again, of the cube I'm putting together, I put some thought into this last night while I was laying in bed waiting to fall asleep. Which again, why I'm just burning through this so quickly. If anyone has any input, let me see. I may as well add the rules too. Once I figure out how to do this. And the activate only as an instant restriction is another thing too, because it also means you can play things like Spell Pierce, Mana Leak, and they become highly effective counters. And it also means that you might want to run, and again, just like any other cube, you can add basics to your deck. But again, you also don't want to run you can put as many counters as you want in the cube, because the more counters you have in your deck, the fewer high impact spells. Right? Uh, there's more than one. Ah, from Chronicles. That's an old. Wow. Okay. I was not aware that this particular planeswalker. Oh God, that's a terrible scan. Okay, let's back. Okay, okay. Well, now I can read. Okay. So that +1. While trying to end the game yourself, you might end the game for yourself. And that's why you don't play. You're not going to put cards like Ghostly Prison or Propaganda in here, because those cards are essentially creatures can't attack. So unless you want to primarily make this a Spellslinger cube, I would not recommend effects like that. Oh God, I can never find a reason to not run Minsc and Boo in a cube. Like if I can justify it, I will. Once I figure out a spell, Johnny Unyielding's pretty good. Now again, ignoring that mana cost, that +2, actually that +2 might be too damn good. Yeah, non-land. Yeah, I think that +2 might be too good, because that's essentially Ancestral Recall. So yeah, it's probably too good. Okay. Kaya Inexorable should be fine. Let me just double check. +1 is fine. -3 is totally fine. Yeah. Yeah. I'm not too concerned about Planeswalker Ultimates, because if it gets to that point, like, you've earned it. Like, I have nothing in here, and I don't plan on putting anything in here that's going to proliferate or double counters or anything like that. Because I'm not going to have a counters theme here. This is literally a let's do big, dumb, stupid stuff kind of thing. I already have Saheeli Rai, which is why I will include Felidar Guardian. There we go. Do that combos with him. Fable the Mirror Breaker. Restoration Angel. Kiki Jiki. Jealous Conscript. Like, these cards are all very fine on their own. One of my favorite cards of all time to put in queues when I can justify it. Or when I can find an excuse to do it. Oracle the Alpha. Like, this has become my new pet card. And it's not even super unbalanced because, like, the Moxen are almost dead draws, but they're still useful. Time Twister is symmetrical. Like, the only one that's truly OP out of the 9 in this format is Ancestral. That's one of 9 that gets shuffled into your deck. So while it is extremely good, it's not overly so. Golgari Queen is really good because, again, there's that jumping through hoops to draw cards because you have to sacrifice stuff. Oko is Broco, so of course that's in there. Completed Sage. I already got Dragon God, I think. Did I get Karn? I did not. And again, it's much easier to balance stripping cards away than it is to balance adding cards, because there's not much of a balance removing cards from play, whereas drawing cards tends to what's the word, snowball, right? Card draw effects tend to tend to give you more card draw effects, give you more card draw effects. So you got to be very careful about how much they give you and how many you have in the format or in the cube. I did have Defiler of Faith because that seemed that seemed fine because it gives you soda tokens, right? And I'm trying to have stuff that you can do with those. Like, there are going to be things that allow you to sacrifice things. For example, Plumb and Forbidden. Right, so that's hoops you have to jump through, right? You have to cast white permanent spells to make these soldier tokens, and then cast Plumb and Forbidden and sacrifice those soldiers. So there are hoops to jump through. It's not just free card draw. It is card draw, but it's not free. Giant Killer removes the big creatures, right? So it's not just big, dumb, stupid, scary monsters, right? There are ways to deal with them. Great. What does this dude do? Yes, tap Power Stone tokens. These ones are great because they don't help you cast spells, but they can be used as sacrifice fodder, and they can be used for activated abilities, which is another huge thing. Like, activated abilities are going to be massive. Labyrinth of Scophos. Mystifying Maze. Like I want it to be where combat is the primary means of ending games. Okay, there's that. Again, another one that requires you to do things, right? Field of Ruin. Demo Field. Right, so there are going to be utility lands, right? It's not going to be, all spells. Alright, so back to my list. What do I have Norika for? Norika, Yamazaki. Getting your enchantments back. Same things I want. The Seal of Cleansing. Uh... Hmm. Damn, I hate when it does this. Okay. Uh-huh. I guess, yes, Soul Snare should be fine. Okay. Wait. Important words. Actually, I will add aggressive mining. Because it requires you to already have lands in play, and you can't play more, so it does restrict you on how much you can draw. And it becomes sacrifice fodder. That's an interesting one, so yeah. Ooh, animate dead. I do like that. Huh. Ooh, Aura Flux. That's funny. Actually, I like that. Aura of Silence is a good one. Huh. Yeah, sure. I'll take Birth of the Imperium. Bitter Reunion I do like. Gideon is jumping through hoops. There's no point in playing Blood Funnel because the only upside to it, like the only reason, the cost reduction, like you would never play it for this trigger. The trigger is all it has if mana cost doesn't matter anymore. Hmm. Oh God, that is funny. Well, I'm not gonna put it in. Not gonna put that in there. Uh, no. Ooh, stuff with cumulative upkeep might be really good. Only a couple things though. Huh. Like, I'm not gonna put Ristic Study in because it is damn near impossible to pay for Ristic Study. So it's essentially whenever an opponent casts a spell, draw a card, and that is not where I want to be. So that becomes really freaking good. I will include Cindervines though. Hmm. Ooh. Contamination seems good, but I don't want to put red herrings in my cube. That's just me. Like somebody like, oh, contamination. I got my ass kicked by that card before. Put it in their deck, and then they'll play it and be like, oh, this does nothing. So, Coral Net actually is not bad. Sacrifice it unless you discard a card. So that's a very real cost. You can play it on an opponent's creature. Yeah, that's a very real cost. Ooh, cruel reality. I'm having fun with this now. I mean, I always have fun building cubes, but like, this one is coming together very nicely. Ooh, Dawn of a New Hope is actually really nice. Because it requires you to have a lot of creatures that it doesn't give you like 6 cards at once. And then, what can we do next? Uh, hmm. We can do... Defense of the Heart seems a bit meh. Decree of Silence seems a... It feels like it's a bit too strong, maybe? Because this is supposed to be a check on it, right? It's not just expensive for the sake of being... There's a check on it, because it counters 3 spells. Hmm. I'll add it for now. I don't need to add this, because all the creatures are going to be chonky anyway. So there's not much point. This does next to nothing. This does next to nothing. Oh. Now that's interesting. Yeah, I'll grab Descendant's Fury. And the thing is, that's what it's more about color balancing, because costs don't matter. Ooh, Descent into Dream is fun. Yep, Dockside Chef. We got an activated ability. Disruption Aura I'm not going to do because, like, if I want to include artifact removal, I'm going to include artifact removal. Like, if I'm going to make you wait to the upkeep, it's going to be something like Energy Flux. Doom Foretold. Dress down. Nah. Nah. Not durable handicraft. Hmm. Enchanter's Bane is nice. There we go, there's Energy Flux. Huh. So... Feed the Pack is interesting. It lets you go wide as hell very quickly. So yeah, I'll do that. Give your stuff haste. No. See, if these did not have the additional, like, it's an enchantment that has nothing, then you pay 4 mana to deal 5 damage. Like, 3 mana, gain 7 life, This one is actually mildly interesting. 4 mana, return 3 creatures from your graveyard to your hand. That one I will include. That's actually worth playing, I think. Food fight would be interesting if it didn't care about names. Ugh. Oh god, I went golfing last weekend and I am still paying for it. Oh, everything's still so sore. Okay. Hmm. Bombardment isn't where I want to be. Graphic identity is good. Ooh. Next page. 244 more. Enchantments with the word sacrifice in their rules text. There's Grave Pact. Sure. Not great or good, because again, that just chains stuff together. Grave Peril. Nah. Hammer of Perforos, giving people haste, sure. I do like Hazard's Favor. Handcuff. And hesitation as a free counter, meh. Wow, I didn't realize that this soundtrack had a voice on it, so that was really trippy for a second there. Huh. That's interesting. I don't think I want to include that, because 7 mana is a lot in a format that doesn't really play with mana. Hidden Stockpile, I think, is just interesting enough to play with. Hopeless Nightmare is interesting. What else is there? It's kind of hard to keep a running commentary when I'm trying to read cards at the same time. Your end step, sack creature, top X, where its mana value, put a creature onto the bat. Wow. That is strong. Actually, no, I can't include that. Okay. Impromptu Raid's pretty nice. Pending Disaster is useless. And still Furor is interesting. Right? It's almost like goad. So either they like attack into, they either make an unfavorable attack with the creature, or they sacrifice it. So Infernal Tribute is interesting. Actually, I think I will add that. Right? If I'm reading that right, it's 2 sack a permanent, draw card. So I got to find the mana and sack a permanent. So it does exactly what I want. Hoop jumping. Yep, non-token permanent even. That's even better. Oh, that's exactly what I want. Invasion of Gobakan is not where I want to be, because this essentially means that card is gone. Same with Elite Spellbinder though. Like, this is why I also can't include something like Thalia in the cube, because Thalia says your opponent can't cast non-creature spells. In Too Deep is funny, so I will include that. No, yeah, let's add Invasion of Gobakan. Huh. Carter's Vicious Return. Battlefield. It's interesting at least. Colony Heart Expedition is definitely not a thing. Killer Service is almost good. Like if it made a flat number of foods, it'd be great. Like if you're planning on your Omniscience Cube being multiplayer, go for it. Like, this would be great. I am intending this cube to be 1v1, so this is not quite a good fit. Killer Instinct is interesting. Actually, I do like it, actually. It's temporary card advantage. That is fun. Oh, that flavor text. Oh my god. Oh man, I gotta remember this card. That is awesome. Oh, ugh. Oh, the lamp head sucks. You just gotta remember that too. Mana. Like, well, maybe tempting to have things that are normally mana sinks and limited. You gotta make the mana and the sacrifice worth it, like, because they are precious resources. Huh. For a second, I thought it said, "Oh yeah, you lose all life." I thought it said you lose all the life, which would have been just as funny. Lilting refrain is interesting. Huh. Uh-huh. Hmm. Yeah, let's put in Lunar Force. Oh, I know a good one. Standstill would be a very interesting choice for this, right? Minimus containment would also be really good, so I'm going to add that in real quick, along with legitimate business, or what is it? Oh, legitimate business person. Yeah, wind protection and minimus containment. Okay, now I want standstill. I don't want lands with too high a cost on their activated abilities. So, O Power Stone token. So now, I would like a way to make a few Power Stone tokens. I don't really want to make treasures, because colored mana is... I want to stay away from colored mana. Cityscape Leveler is cool. Like, remember, everyone's throwing out powerful shit, so this is not the OP thing that you'd think it would be. Thoughtseize effects are nice. I do like this, because again... Yeah, draw a card, but you're jumping through a lot of hoops to get there. Bolt make a Power Stone? Sure. 3-tap Power Stones? Sure. Where can I make some more? Wow. Also like a way to, like, another non-token artifact. Except I don't want a way to sacrifice artifacts, because that generally leads to other degenerate stuff. Additional cost. Sure. O-ring effects. No. Mana Rig definitely seems interesting. Because there are going to be a bunch of multicolored spells. This one, like, I would love to include it, but the double black makes it incredibly hard to cast. Like, even with the Ad Wooburg, you're only, and if you have another source of black, you're still only getting 2 out of it. Like, it's not that great. Yeah, that one's not that great either. Impulsive draw, but that gives you one every turn for free, almost for free. Very much on the fence about that. I do like Urza's command because it gives you choices where drawing is not necessarily the best one. I don't want I don't want Power Stone Prodigy. Do I? Huh. Okay, back to top. Back to deck list. Okay, so we have quite a few Power Stone makers. Okay, let's go back to my list. Okay. Realm Cloak Giant Wrath that also makes big body. Recruit of the Guard is good. Stoneforge Mystic. Can't remember what equipment I have though. Triumph of St. Catherine. Oh yeah, because yeah. So Triumph of St. Catherine. It's a 5/5 with lifelink, but miracle. Actually, no, because it keeps coming back. That's why. And it can also mess up with top decks. Ultramarines Honor Guard, I believe, has Squad. What? The hell is Honor Guard? Wow, that's terrible. Okay, there we go. Ultramarines Honor Guard, once that pops up. Yeah, it has Squad and it's an Anthem. So the Anthem isn't the greatest thing, but the Squad is additional cost. Cemetery Illuminator, allowing you to cast on the top, jumping through hoops. Chancellor of the Spires, again, like everyone will be casting everyone else's fucking spells, which I kind of really want. Like, no one's drawing cards, everyone's just casting each other's spells all the time. Which is very much in line with what I want of this cube. I already got the Enthusiast. Yeah, Guts World Kept is very much along the same lines. Like, you're already drawing the cards, gives you extra value out of it. Grozoth, I am on the fence about. I am not sure how many 9 mana value cards there are in the cube. I don't think that many, though. So, I don't think I need to worry too much about that. Illicit Harvester was 5. Why did I put this in here? Yes. Basically, it's, yes. Ixodron as well. Shutting down everyone's dumb stuff. And there's also Illusory Ambusher, which, if you've never seen this card before, in this context, it's probably the strongest card in the cube. It is the only card in the cube with no drawback, no restriction draw. Mirror Hall Mimic. You're fun to play something stupid? Well, cool, I'm gonna play something stupid now. Oracle the Alpha. Scholar of the Lost Trove. Some real depth. Basically, it's going to be a cycler, but I could probably just take it out. Right, because it's not going to be really a storm theme or anything. Yeah, I may as well just take it out, because why? There are a few extra turns, though none of them are immediately recurable, like Time Screen Navigator gets put on the bottom. So you have to chain it with some other stuff to make it usable again. Why did I include... Oh. Why can't I spell? Sword Coast Serpent was 7. Yeah, can't be blocked, and also unsummoning is nice. I have Vanguard Suppressor. What is another squad? 4 mana. Yeah, squad! And small enough can be removed fairly easily. Void Mage Husher, I think it's a stifle. Yeah. Yeah. Stifle that you can get back to hand. Young Blue Dragon is another adventure. Oathsworn is gross. Bloodthirsty Ogre is actually kind of decent when you think about it. Where's it at? Where's my Bloodthirsty? Oh, it's only 3. So it's all tap abilities, right? And you just keep charging up, charging up, charging up. You're not really going to attack with it once some big stuff on. So you keep charging up, charging it up. And then you use it to kill stuff. Which, speaking of demons... I need to think of some good demons to put in here. So if you have any suggestions, that would be awesome. And next we have Ebon's Death, because you can cast it from your graveyard. And notice, cast spells, not from your hand, just cast spells. At least that's in my version of the Omniscience cube. I know some, it's literally Omniscience, you can only cast from your hand, but this is mine. And you have Gaunty, Bribery, Suspend, Delay, not Mana Drain, because that becomes really powerful when you only need to spend it on... So... what the hell is the one that only hits mana by 4 or greater? Oh, Nick's funny. So, you probably never heard the spell before. Because it's just terrible. Oh. It's like a reverse mental misstep. I'm not going to include Gitaxian Probe. Why did I put Gorman in here? Mine's 6, I believe. Why did I want that? Oh yeah, trade-offs. Okay. Then I had Gorex, because it's a roundabout way of getting cards back. So you can either cast it for free as a 4/4, or you can choose to exile creatures from your graveyard and pay mana. You can't do both. So again, it's decision points. Hoarding Broodlord. Let's choose something up. Lobelia, what? Defender? Yeah, Defender. Why is she in here? Ah, yeah, Sack Outlet. Yeah. Okay. Then I had... What the hell is this one? Morcrit Behemoth. It's 5 mana. Yes, additional payments. I guess probably going to end up being a last pick. A lot of these are just free. Hey, what's up, Jonesy? I don't need to apologize. Just kind of chilling, hanging out, working on building an Omniscience cube. Realizing some of my choices may or may not have been ideal. Definitely want Murderous Rider, though. If I spell it correctly. Bam! There's that. Ooh, yes. So this goes back to an earlier point I made about the second emblem where you can add Bluebird. Right? You want to incentivize people. If we're going to make people use it, we want to make it worthwhile. So not just, oh, hey, here's a 2-mana spell that cares about colors of mana. No. We're going to go all in, right? Like, if it's going to care about colors, it's going to care about all the colors. Then we had Reaper of Night. And then a huge part of this cube is going to be, not Shriek Maw. It's going to be Thoughtseize and Discard effects. I just realized I don't want to Tenacious Underdog, because it's, as we know, because Blitz, yeah. So that fits in my theme of roundabout way of drawing cards, because you'll find a way to make the second black to pay for the Blitz, because you can't just use the Wooburg emblem. Bound Tumor. Abbot of Carol Keep. Atog. Capricious Hellraiser. Right now I'm going down the list stuff that I came up with last night. Capricious Hellraiser. When it enters, exile 3 cards at random from your graveyard, and then pick something. Pick a random, or choose one from among those random cards, and you get to cast a copy without paying mana cost. So it's another version of card recursion. So it's card advantage without being straight card advantage. And then Defiler of Instinct. That one I think does damage. All 5 mana. Is that one not? Yeah, that one deals damage. And then I have a butt ton of ways. I'll be right back getting a phone call. Okay, back to what I was doing. What was the last thing I was doing? Like the Defiler of Instinct, Direflate Daredevil, a Freak Flame Painter. What is that one? It is 4 mana. Ooh, did it pop up for me? Yes, it did. Once. There we go. Oh. Cool. So when it hits a player, you get to flashback something for free, essentially. So you have to do it like that. Like a Goblin Engineer, because duh. Imperial Recruiter, because I have like 6 ways to do the key combo. Magus of the Wheel, because why not? Manaform Hellkite. Man, Moxfield is slow today. The amount of mana spent to cast that spell. So again, incentivizing people to spend mana, not just incentivizing big spells. I believe I have like 3 or 4 different flames, so cards like Megatog and Atog are D's. Atog, Pauper All-Star until recently, second artifact is +2/+2. Let's go ahead and change that art. That green is so creepy. Let's go to the mirrored version. And then what's that? Okay. Then Megatog is essentially a bigger Atog. It's +3/+3 and trample. Okay, then Flying Claw Shaman is 5. Come on, slot. I'm going crazy. There it is. Yeah. When it hits the board, you get to cast an instant sorcery from an opponent's hand without paying for it. It's, I think it's hilarious. Hey, one thing about it. Add Thoughtseize. Add Duress. Mind Rot. One second, see what typing. Wrench Mind. A few more discard spells that aren't limited by mana value. At least the effect isn't limited by mana value. I don't care how much the mana value of the spell itself is. Ogre Battlecaster. The great thing about this format is you see a lot of cards that you normally wouldn't because either they're so expensive as to be terrible. Whenever it attacks, make cast target instant sorcery by paying red in addition to other costs. We put a graveyard exile instead. When you cast it, this dude gets +X+O, where X. Ox, this is kind of an auto-include. Kieran is really good. I have slow bad. Slow bad Goblin Tinkerer. I know he's really low on the mana value. There we go. He must just make your artifacts indestructible, that's why. And then Smoldering Egg. I don't care low mana value cards that incentivize you to cast to spend mana actually, not just cast stuff for free. Because Smoldering Egg when it flips, which why I want to let it flip it. My field does this is weird. Okay, how do I flip the? What? How do I flip the card? Why won't let me flip it? Why won't let me transform the Smoldering Egg? Oh wow, that's weird as hell. Okay, then when we cast it, it deals damage to any target, so it has value that way. And then Spite Bellows is a really good rule. You're going to because why would you? It's a 6/1 that when it hits the board or when it dies, it deals 6 damage to anything, or to any creature. To a target creature. It actually allows you to pay for its vote costs, but also just swing in with it. And Young Red Dragon, Adventure is really good. And Apex Devastator, like, if anyone wants to argue with me on why Apex Devastator is in the cube, fight me. Augur of Autumn. Because card advantage is card advantage, or you have to fight over Vigor. Darnin, yeah. Really fast Burning Build again. It's just so good. When he attacks, we go to the top 4. You exile a creature, or something exile, you may cast it, and it has Undaunted. Yeah, that's another reason why my mission is phrased the way it is. So you can still cast these cards without having to build up a pile of treasures and or power stones. And you have Emerald Dragon. I think I'll also work through these. Foundation Breaker. Reclamation Sage. Garrick's Horde. It's sweet time. Kerbis. Where's Kerbis at? Ah, Kerbis. Again, this is another spend mana incentivizer, but you can't just turn one, pop it out. Enter the 1 counter equal to the amount of mana spent to cast it, not just the amount of mana. Move 1 counter and all damage dealt this turn to another creature with 1 counter on it. So it allows you to save your small dude, or if you have dudes that have attack triggers, but you have unfavorable attacks. It gives you more utility out of your creatures that otherwise might not have utility anymore. Mantle Cleric does a thing. Take about it has Converge. Yep, Converge, as does Woodland Wanderer. I don't want to put too many of those because if you have like 3 or 4 in your hands, like, wow, I have 1 spell I can cast. Ethereal Valkyrie. Now this one is interesting, right? So you'd think, when I find it, it is a 6 mana spell. Everyone keeps blowing up my phone. 6 mana enters or attacks. You essentially have to foretell. You draw a card and then you foretell a card from your hand. Foretell is an alternate cost, so you have to spend mana on that. You can't just omniscience a foretell card. Then you have Aethersworn Sphinx. So again, that's what I'm talking about with you got to jump through hoops to get those extra cards. Aethersworn Sphinx Cascade, Gold Forge, Thopteryx. That's the only thing I have here that grants ward, but it's a low enough ward where it's not a super huge ass. It protects your dude for a couple turns. And you have Chun-Li, or the universal inversion of Chun-Li, which is a 3 mana creature. There. I'll just switch over. Switch printing. Universal within. Okay, back to it. These, I don't even know if I have any zombies in the queue. I don't know if Decent Girls is good. Green Footman. So that's bad. My keyboard is actually. Grima does a thing. Nope, there. So let you cast your opponent's spells. And given how many of these effects are in the cube, it makes you. It makes there's counterplay, right? So it's not just, oh, I'm going to slam every big thing I can find. You have to play around your opponent's cards. Spell Pierce. My instant I'm not adding like 6 to the same one. Spell Pierce. Mana Leak. Force Spike. Can I say days? Oh. Counter. Target. Oh. Unless. Okay. I don't want there to be too many hard counters. Granted, most of them will be hard counters a lot of time. Okay. Creature or battle. I don't know if I have battles in or if I want to include any. For the ending, so I want it to be less than, pay 3 or less. Like, similarly, as a counter, if I pay 4. It's a bit high. Anti-condition I will include, because the hard counter is very conditional. Choose Interference. Broken Ambitions. No. I will play in Censor. Not Circular Logic. Circular Defense. Like people think. Oh, Lucky Mouth. Ooh, Curse Catcher. Yeah, definitely Curse Catcher. Not Countervailing Winds. Not Convolute. Don't want Crush Descent. Disrupt seems decent. Like 1 or 2 is where I want to be. I don't want Disrupt because that would get annoying. Like, that gets really annoying really quickly. Evasive Action is pointless. Not Fluster. Again, no one's going to be keeping track of Storm. I don't want people to have to keep track of Storm. Ooh, Fatal Illusion I do like. Because stripping away cards is right where I want to be. Geistlight Snare is towards the top end of where I'd like to be, so... don't want Hindering Touch. Perfect Amnesia. Yeah. Counter, let's say, exile their graveyard. I'd be like, is it Charm as well? Schwartz, ooh, yeah, the modal lands. Just familiar. I think 3 more. Yes, mana type. Yes. What else we got? Not including Mind Static. Unless I pay 6. That is essentially a hard counter. Maybe we'll just include Counter Spell. Like, it's 4 mana. Why not just be Counter Spell? Like, what? Like, why? It's literally 3 blue, Counter Spell, unless it's short, pay 6. Just be Counter Spell. Like why even have it unless they pay? No one's going to be able to pay that, ever. Miscalc. Actually, yes. Cycling I do approve of. Not Oppressive Will. Quench. Ooh, Sword Tommy Savant. Yes, I do like that. Yeah.